This is the story of Sioyan, a player who was able to complete a mission that not even 40 rankers were able to do. The mission, Scorched Earth, deviled him. He was able to do it all alone. He is an absolute monarch who had 21 castles under his rule. With one step he was able to take down a castle, and with another receive the cheers of many people. He was the undisputed #1 in the Asra online game. He was the king of the world of Asra. After completing that mission, he managed to end the 1836-year war of the dimensional world, being praised by everyone. Well, more or less, he didn't even get a piece of paper. Sioyan checks the concurrent users. This time there are 287. Such a number means that people are leaving the game again, so he also ponders the idea of quitting the game. The king's world was too empty. Even when there was an event recently, there are no posts on the community blogs. Sioyan laments that no one is playing Asra when it is so much fun. This is perhaps because the implementation of virtual reality is not perfect, so he thinks that if Asra had been developed from the beginning with virtual reality in mind, it would completely surpass modern games that only boast about their graphics. Asra is far superior to most games in scale, construction, story. None of these things fail. He was about to accept that nothing would ever be the same until suddenly he sees an advertisement for a game called Asrian Online with seamless virtual reality coming out soon, a title somewhat similar to Asra. This game will feature the first sensory synchronization mechanism to be released worldwide in about 5 days. Sioyan is surprised to see that the trailer has a gigantic number of views. He also manages to identify similarities with Asra. There was the G-Moon, the ancient dragon Kerber. Skills, scenarios, even the NPCs, everything was very similar to Asra. Everything seems to indicate that Asra became Asrian. The game was reborn with the most advanced virtual reality, just what Sioyan asked for. They also added many skills and places he had never seen before. It's not quite the same, but it definitely uses the structure of Asra's world. If the other settings remain the same, this would mean that there will be no user who knows as much about Asra as Sioyan, so he excitedly decides that he will enter the game to show everyone the lethality of the rank 1 Asra online game that everyone mocked as a failure. 5 days before the launch of the game, he was looking for information about Asrian and finally said goodbye to the game he had played for the last 8 years. Those 5 days passed and then the time came. All his preparations are ready. He looked for hidden quests, hidden names, item combinations, and other achievements. He even checked who started playing immediately and posted something on the community blog. The game welcomes him. The name he will now use is Hyan. He is then taken to the start of the game, where after a flash, he is greeted by the NPC angel that appears as soon as the game starts, but this time it was different. Hyan had seen her before. She says her name is Kerval, but Hyan knows her real name is Kadriel. Immediately, her expression changes and so does the way she looks. She happens to be the name whose identity was revealed at the end of the last Asra online story, the Great Demon Kadriel. Hyan doesn't know why she is there. As for her, she is angry because she discovered her identity. The pressure was enormous. It felt like that because of the sensory synchronization. Hyan was shaking uncontrollably. Kadriel tells him to select his job and get the hell out of there. He is given a choice of a sword, a dagger, a wand, and a cross. These are items that allow him to become a warrior, rogue, mage, or a priest. Fortunately, it seems he doesn't have to fight Kadriel, otherwise he would have started with a death. Hyan knows that coincidences do not exist in Asra. If a hidden event is triggered, there must be a special reward. He knows that there must be more quests there, as he does not yet receive a reward. He must complete another condition, so there must be something there that allows him to continue. Hyan notices something conspicuous behind Kadriel. It definitely wasn't a carpet. That's where the statue was. It was hidden when Kadriel was disguised as an angel, so he wants to take a closer look. Kadriel doesn't like this, and even though he tries to hide it, he's panicking. So Hyan was right. Even though she tells him there's nothing behind, he keeps going forward. If there was nothing, then there's no reason for her to block his way. Hyan's suspicions were right. When he touches the carpet, he finds a hidden space, which increases the number of jobs he can choose from. As Asrian is a game connected to Asra, Hyan knew they would do something like that. If people discover something like that, everyone will pay to buy a secondary character slot. Asrians really know how to sell. They look like items for hidden classes. Kadriel rushes him to take some item and leave, but Hyan notices something weird again, this time behind Kadriel's seat. She tells him he's just confused, but Hyan goes anyway and encounters an unknown hidden class. He played Asra for 8 years, but never saw or heard anything like it. He thinks maybe it's his last ascension, the Dimension Crusher. Whatever the case may be, it looks like an impressive class, so he heads off to grab the sword. At the time, he didn't know that Kadriel is the archdemon of deception. one who tricks humans and feeds on their desperation. After taking the sword, he is welcomed into the game. The hidden class he chose was support. Just what? He didn't expect. Confused, he watched as Cadriel laughed at him. She tells him that maybe that class could be better than he imagines. Then she says goodbye to him and leaves. Even though it's support, it's still a hidden class, so Hyan tries to calm down. Even in the military, when the word support is added, it refers to great firepower. He opens his status window. His level and stats are these. As for the skills, they are no big deal. There was no turning back now, so Hyan says he'll at least go up to level 50 and get his ultimate. Maybe it'll be something decent. Hyan tries to fight against slimes. When he calls the attention of one of them, he uses his ability Protection of the Celestial God. This ability raises 50 defense for a second. Having so much defense, it's as if he was immortal for a few moments. However, when he hits the slime, he realizes that his damage is quite low. Now he uses his other ability, Shield, which protects him for a second and makes the enemies that attack him lose consciousness for 3 seconds, a very useful ability. While killing the slime, he notices that there are more people around doing not only the same thing, but more efficiently. Hyan went out of his way to kill a single slime while the others kill them in one hit. With those stats and skills, Hyan can't do much on his own. He needs a partner, and he already has the perfect candidate. For that in mind, since he can't even hunt a slime on his own, the fastest way to grow is with the help of someone who does a lot of damage, someone with a decent sense for combat who has his skills under control. Clearly none of these people meet that requirement, but Hyan knows a person capable of filling that role, someone he met while playing Asra, rank 2, Ain. To look for Ain, Hyan connects back to Asra, then meets Ain. It's the first time they've seen each other in a long time. The place is Ain's choice. Hyan tells him that he has to tell him something, but Ain starts to activate his predatory ability, and without a word, he attacks Hyan. He is not surprised, as Ain has always been the same. The fight continues. All Hyan does is block the attacks. Ain has no intention of listening to him, so he activates body enhancement and his ultimate ability to attack Hyan again. But it doesn't do anything to him. He still ends up losing. After this, Ain finally deigns to speak. Hyan tells him that Asra has been completely remade with virtual reality, so he asks her to join him as a mage, as he had recently heard that the mage class is particularly good. Ain gets a little upset that he only came to tell him that. Hyan tells him that he didn't leave him behind. He just went to see if Asrian was worth playing and then came back to get him. Hyan knows that if the two of them team up, they will become an unstoppable team, just like they were in Asra Online. Ain doesn't understand why he should be a mage. He prefers to be a fighter who does close range damage. Like a berserker, Hyan must convince him to choose to be a mage, otherwise it would be pointless. So he tells him that the mage class requires a lot of control to use, and not only a person with excellent control like Ain could use a mage to its full power. This works to convince Ain, so he decides to join. But first, Hyan will tell him a few things from now on. He tells him that after he joins the game, when he's selecting his class, Cadriel will appear and tell him all about the hidden classes. Days later, we go to the magical country Levia. There both of them had arranged to meet right at the castle gates. Hyan told her that he would put a feather in her headband so that she would recognize him. After a while, Ain appears, but no, it's not this guy here. Ain is actually a girl. Hyan is not sure if she is Ain, so he asks her what was the main ability of the werewolf she used to be in Asra. She answers correctly, so yes, she is Ain. Hyan never imagined she would be a girl. Ain, just as Hyan had told her, she chose a magic class, specifically an occult class. She shows him her status window. To Hyan's surprise, she turns out to be a close-range mage. This makes him feel a bit unsure, but he decides to see her abilities before coming to a conclusion. Ain has no area damage skill, only a skill that consumes a lot of mana. With her base attack and that skill, she should be able to do considerable damage per attack. However, she has only 450 mana, so she's a bit limited. Everything indicated that they were screwed. Ain wants to go hunting to test her skills, but Hyan tells her that they can't do it there as it's a level 60 area and they would be killed. She proposes to go to another city, but it's the same situation. Going out hunting now is too risky. Hyan must make sure Ain can do enough damage, so after a while, Hyan challenges her to a friendly duel. This makes her quite excited as it's something she likes a lot. However, she knows Hyan is support and won't be able to do much. Hyan tells her that there is nothing to do. She will take all the blows. Next, the will of both is confirmed and the friendly duel begins. Ain uses her Fire Claw's ability to attack Hyan. He plans to take it directly, as he must first see how much damage he is able to do. This causes Ain to defeat him in one hit. Although she is low level, Ain's damage is incredible. She can't accept a hollow victory like that and asks for a rematch. Hyan says he won't hold back this time. The rematch begins. Ain attacks in a frontal way again. Hyun thinks it would be a waste to use immortality when he can dodge that with no problem. Although Ain's attacks are accurate, she's slow and has a lot of openings, a bit disappointing compared to what she was in Asrao. Maybe it's because she hasn't gotten used to the game yet. Hyun keeps avoiding her attacks and provoking her. This makes Ain go all out. Her speed increases and she uses fire claws again. Hyun has no choice but to use the heavenly god's protection as she can't dodge it. Then she uses a shield and ends up winning the fight. Ain wants revenge as he considers Hyun's ability to be quite tricky and not a normal support. Hyun tells her that her skill control is very good and that he's sure that if they fight again she'll lose. This to cheer her up so she'll stop insisting on a rematch. Now they head out to hunt. They meet at this place. If everything works as Hyun planned, they can test their classes there and get experience. They are in the Ghost Fortress, which is recommended to be level 60. Those monsters can't be hunted by them because of their level, but that's okay, they won't hunt them, not directly, they will level up anyway. In short, they won't hunt the monsters, these NPC guards will. They will lure the mobs and make the guards hunt them. For them, it's a simple tactic for nothing complicated. Newer games have made it so that if there is an NPC involved in hunting the monster, no experience is gained to avoid that kind of strategy. Thanks to that, newer users have gotten used to it and forgotten about the old tactics. They will rediscover it later, but they definitely won't know it at first. Basically, Asra's tactics work there as well. They just have to do that. The worst that can happen is that they die. For starters, they will draw the attention of the level 80 Ghost Commander. Speed is key there, that's why Ain is the one in charge. When approaching the commander and attacking him, all the mobs in the army will target Ain, as there is a big difference between the levels of the two. Ain will probably get the fear status effect, but because it is based on sensory timing, she just needs to stay calm. Once Ain is able to move her body again, she should run as fast as she can without looking back. If she had not been warned before the fear effect, she would surely have died. No matter how similar she is to Asra, there are more things to consider during a fight thanks to full immersion in RV. Now they both plan to split up and dodge as they run. Hyun manages to draw some, and despite having no long-range attacks with the shield skill, everything is going according to their plan. They just need to keep running. At the first gate of the castle walls, this NPC was late only to realize that the Ghost Commander and his army were approaching the castle. They then alert all the guards and prepare to attack. Hyun and Ain have to keep running. They are almost there. Things almost got messy when Ain almost got hit, but they finally made it by the skin of their teeth. Ain thought the guards would just shoot fire arrows, but they actually used an area spell, which is to be expected. It's the magic country, but still, they use divine magic like water. After that, they start gaining a lot of experience and leveling up. They got more levels than they expected, just by hitting mobs once and running away. Hyun explains that the experience split between tank, healer and damage is based on the contribution in Asra, as the experience calculations in Asrian are the same. The AI calculates the contribution of healing the party and controlling the waves to distribute experience, so even if they only used one skill, controlling the mobs and luring them to the castle also counts. All in all, that was pretty close, any more and they failed. But they leveled up, so things should be safer now, but they don't have time to waste resting. They'll go and do it again. Later, Hyun checks the community blog and focuses on the criticals. In that game, they always go critical if you hit a vital point in humanoid beings. It's the head, heart, sternum, joints, crotch and 11 other points. Those are all the ones Hyun has found so far. There might be more if you search. The most important thing is that apparently you need to concentrate your power on hitting the critical point. For someone as skilled in close combat as Ain, she's likely to be able to go critical on all her attacks, so she'll let you know about that later. Back to Asrian, Hyun has raised many levels. Now she would use her status points. Next, Ain logs in. She always logs in and out of the game at a specific time. This makes Hyun suspect that she is a student. If so, her staying up every day until 3 AM is not good for her. But no one cares. Besides, Hyun would skip classes after they passed attendance. Ain asks him if they will go back to hunting ghosts. She is impressed with the previous farming method. In just 3 days, she has reached level 40, while Hyun is level 42. He was thinking of hunting named monsters instead of ghost archers. Named monsters are stronger than normal monsters and also give better rewards. With their current levels, Hyun is sure they can go fight them. High-ranking guilds should be preparing now to fight a named monster. They are likely to start in about 2 weeks. Hyun's point is that he wants the reward for the first named monster kill. Ain is excited, but Hyun asks her to calm down as it's impossible for both of them to hoard all the named monsters, so they will only go for the special named monsters, the ones that give stat bonus as a reward. Ain gets even more excited, but Hyun still hasn't decided which ones they will try. Besides, Ain hasn't used her stat points yet. She has 70 unused. You gain 2 points per level, so she should have 78, but Ain put some in strength. She's supposed to be a mage, but since Ain used to play as a wolf in Asraya, she put points in strength out of habit. Anyway, they will distribute her remaining points as they should. A while later, these are Ain's current stats. Even though she fights in close range combat, she has low life because she is a mage, but that's alright. Hyun's skills should be able to take care of that. Plus Ain is already able to do 500 damage with fire claws. They have more than enough damage, so they should save skill points for now. With what they have, they should be able to kill a level 50 named monster in 5 minutes. First, they should decide which secret named monster to kill first. Now we see these two guys. They have been playing for about a month, but they already make enough money to equal a decent salary. They are Heldust and Arneng. They are both happy to play full time, and if they keep it up, they might become rankers. That would be doable since rankers make a lot of money, so they arrange to meet in real life if they become rankers. Next, they meet this guy. They all head to the guild meeting, in one of which they would talk about the incursion of a special named monster. The guild is called Jijin. Once they all gather together, they plan their strategies to go to fight against the named monster. A few days ago, some members of that guild found a special area in the dark forest. They discovered that a hidden boss with name Leopard appears there. The guild will concentrate all their efforts to defeat this hidden boss with name. Meanwhile, Hyun and Ain already made a list of the named monsters to hunt. Their intention is to make their way to the top of the list and get the first kill of all the hidden named monsters. Their last stop will be the altar in the dark forest. The goal is to get the first kill of the hidden boss Leopard. As expected, the Jijin guild would not be able to do anything against Leopard. Things went very wrong and everyone was dying. We go back a few hours earlier. The guild was on their way to Leopard. These two were talking a bit, and included in the conversation the guy from before, whose name is Tatar. He was a bit worried about what was coming. Next, they arrive at the entrance. The leader tells them that they run the risk of being attacked immediately upon entering, so he asks them to stay alert. Upon entering, there is a very heavy fog. Then, the cold begins to slow down their movements. They are surrounded and things had already turned ugly. Leopard was appearing. The bodies of the guild members could not move due to the great pressure. Leopard is an ice mage and he already had everyone slowed down. The vanguard, when they can barely move, they start to attack Leopard, but before they could touch him, they were falling one after another without seeing what hit them. When they die, they won't be able to enter the game for 48 hours, but this was just starting. Leopard uses another of his abilities and kills many more members, even against the leader, who didn't even notice when he lost his arm. Leopard is clearly impossible for people of level 30 to defeat him. In desperation, the guild leader asks those still alive to stay that way for as long as possible, to see more of Leopard's abilities, but to no avail. Everyone fell except Tautar, who managed to hide. He ran out just when he saw Arneng die. Even though it is likely that he will survive by hiding, he will surely be kicked out of the guild for being a burden. He considers attacking the boss and dying in the attempt. He refuses to fall without a fight, but when he was about to get up, he notices that more people arrive at the place. These two were, yes, Hyun and Ain. They both arrive at the site and look at Leopard. They realize that someone had already attempted it because he was out of place. However, they don't worry because they couldn't have completed it, as this is a boss with a level 95 name. Leopard notices the two and prepares to attack. Ain blocks it with one hand, then Hyun uses 1 second immortality, but even with this ability, it's impossible to block it completely as it's a level 95 monster. It's instant death if it hits either of them directly. The only way is to deflect their attacks at an angle if they react fast enough, so they don't get hit directly. The damage is low enough to block it with 1 second immortality. The problem is that it's almost impossible if the reaction time is bad. It's basically the opposite of looking to land a critical hit. Hyun thought of that plan because he's aware of how good Ain's reflexes are. He also told Ain to make sure to aim for the vital points when attacking. Leopard continues to attack. Even though Hyun managed to parry his attacks, it is difficult to avoid and use an ability at the same time. Ain hits with flame claws and delivers a critical hit. At that moment, Leopard uses another of his abilities. While preparing it, Hyun tells Ain to run towards Leopard when he tells him to. Hyun attacks Leopard and stuns him. This because multi-hit attacks like the one he was preparing can be stopped with 1 second immortality and interrupting that summoning. With shield, he manages to stun him. Now is the moment when Ain must attack. With everything, he manages to hit him with many critical hits. They have complete advantage over Leopard. The monster is almost dead, which means he prepares his final attack. But Hyun and Ain have his moves completely read, so both attack together. Hyun uses 1 second immortality while Ain quickly attacks Leopard, giving him the final blow. Both managed To defeat the boss, it was more surprising than they expected. While this was happening, Tautar was still hidden and saw how everything was happening. He immediately thought about posting the video to YouTube, including Leopard. Hyan and Ain defeated 18 named monsters, got 20,000 gold and was left with some rare items and a unique item. Ain is good at attacking, so Hyan thinks she should keep the staff, while he keeps the rest. He tells her that a unique item is worth 10 times more than a rare one, so she gets the staff and he gets the rest to be even. Ain doesn't know what to do with the staff as her class weapon is her gloves. Hyan tells her that they could use the staff to cast enchantments. The distribution of loot is pretty even in the groups. Hyan hopes Ain doesn't feel like she's being scammed, but nothing to worry about. Ain is fine with whatever Hyan decides, so they'll head to the enchantment person right now to get new equipment. They go to Lupra, the biggest city in the magic country, a very detailed one, probably cost the developers millions. Ain wants to take a look, but a guard stops her, this because he thinks they are both dark priests due to their clothing. Dark priests are forbidden to enter the city. Dark priests, unlike normal priests, use the power of darkness. They are not treated well by NPCs as their class was canonically created by heretics. They commonly encounter restrictions when entering cities and important buildings, but the two of them are not dark priests. Those clothes are just something they got. They are normal users. The guard finally lets them pass, but as they go into the city, the rest of the people judge them silently because they also thought they were dark priests. They arrive at the enchantment shop. The price for enchanting items varies for normal, rare and unique items, while for higher level items, the prices change according to the situation. The success rate of enchantments is mere probability, so they cannot compensate for failures. Hyan asks if there are any costumes. The shop owner immediately sends him out using a teleportation spell, meaning he must be a high-level NPC. They proceed to take out the equipment they are going to enchant. Hyan tries to enchant a rare item, but it was a failure. He didn't expect it to succeed on the first try, as there is a 45% chance of success. However, surely some item will succeed, or so he thought, because Dale's tome item also failed, as did Ishtal's life, blue bone armor and mile armor, all had failed. Hyan thinks this is a scam, but it is not, because one of Ain's items could be enchanted despite having very low probability. These were the brown leather gauntlets. It was enchanted and fused with Leopard's staff. This amplifies his magic power, critical damage, speed, among other things. All of Hyan's items failed, but Ain asks the shop owner to enchant Hyan's clothes, succeeding. This item is the Ghost Commander's dark robe. It is fused with the Blood Fairy's cloak item, and they have very good stats. Hyan is happy for what Ain did for him. We return now to Tautar, who was effectively kicked out of the clan because he posted the video he recorded of Hyan and Ain. The boss was upset as now everyone knows how to defeat Leopard. Tautar is reunited with these two, who tell him not to be discouraged as these are things that happen. Besides, they also left the guild. They play for a living, so they don't want to feel restricted by rules. However, they tell Tautar that he should delete the video he posted. This because he shouldn't post videos of other users without their permission. It happens that Tautar thought they were NPCs, not users. He was not the only one, and the internet blogs also thought the same. In fact, these two also thought the same, but it was not the case. Analyzing well the movements of Hyan and Ain, he realized that they were not NPCs. They both recommend Tautar to talk about that situation in person as the video went viral. Ain practices fire claws. Her damage is huge compared to before. This because all her status points have gone to magic power, and not only that, she is able to dodge quickly and has very good reaction time against targeted skills or area attacks against which you can't dodge. Hyan uses her support skills to help. They are a great team. It's the perfect duo. Next, they reach level 50. Now they can attempt their awakening mission. Users who reach level 50 can learn the awakening skill. This skill is usually called ultimate. It is much more powerful than a normal one, allowing the possibility of great comebacks. Hyan was saving his skill points for a long time, waiting for that moment. Now he will try to do the awakening mission, but the system doesn't let him do it. This because basically he can't attempt the awakening mission alone, as he is a support. He needs an ally with the same qualities to attempt the mission together. That is why he has no choice but to go on this mission with Ain. The awakening process tests your skills and at the same time opens the door to a lot of possibilities. The awakening ability you get depends on your decisions while doing the mission. This will change depending on how everything happens. Both of you are a bit nervous. The reward for this mission is the choice of awakening skill. The awakening skills will depend on how well you complete the mission, so you should give your best to both of you. On the way to completing the mission, the environment is similar to a dream. It is like a space inside the subconscious. The system extracts keywords from the subconscious suspicious of both of them. Hyan's keyword is time while Ain's keyword is passion. The system tells them that to bring out their full potential they must reach the deepest parts of their subconscious. The deeper they go, the more powerful the ability they will be rewarded with. However, the deeper they go, the more likely they are to be devoured by the abyss that is the subconscious. Hyan has exactly one chance to go back in time, this for his extracted keyword. The scenario creation is complete, the mission is about to begin, and their stats temporarily return to 10. All skills return to their original state and skill points are removed. Once they complete the mission, everything will revert back to normal. Hyan thinks that the stats reset is a penalty for receiving the time reversal ability. In order to gain something they must lose something. Hyan learned this during his days as the highest ranker. The awakening mission begins. They will start at the first level. They will have to face clones of both of them. Hyan feels that they are underestimated, as no matter how good the artificial intelligence is, it will be difficult for it to match the control of a human. Hyan proposes that they each take on the other's clone. Upon attacking Ain's clone, he realizes that his stats are quite low. However, his level of control is abysmal compared to hers, but it's no problem at all. Hyan defeats her easily. Ain also does her part and defeats Hyan's clone. The first level is complete. They receive temporary stats points as a reward. It will be like a game where they get points every time they pass a level. They are now at the second level. Again, they must fight against their clones. However, they are a little different from before. Still, they are still no match for the originals. They complete this level and receive more temporary stats points. They must prepare for the third level. When they reach this level, things become more striking. The clones are getting stronger and stronger. This time, their stats increased, and they have an ability in interrogation. Moreover, they quickly attack Hyan without giving him time to think. Now, the clone's movements are similar to Ain's. However, using 1 second immortality, he manages to slow her down. Even though the AI is improving, it still has the advantage, so it accumulates the damage little by little. I was about to give it the final blow, but suddenly, it takes a lot of damage and loses its left arm. This happened even when it was blocking the 1 second immortality attacks. This happened because the skill in interrogation was one that allows double damage to be done when health is below 10%. Hyan made a mistake by not considering this ability earlier. Things get worse when Ain dies at the hands of the other clone. She won't be able to revive until time is reversed. The imaginary Hyan, despite being support as well, has a hidden ability called Vision Sword. Hyan wonders if Vision Sword is a skill to summon a sword. All this goes hand in hand with the Heavenly God's protection skill, which increases area defenses and is able to create a Vision Sword that has an attack equivalent to the total damage absorbed. It is a completely different skill from a second of immortality. It is an attack skill, and above all, it seems to be a trap skill. It is now that Hyan feels motivated. He then finishes off both clones and completes the third floor, receiving more temporary skill points. In addition, he unlocks the support awakening skill called Reverse Shield. He is also given the close range mage awakening skill called Magic Power Charge. He is warned that he can only choose one awakening skill, so he must think carefully. From now on, awakening skills will be unlocked. In Asra, the difficulty increases a lot from the 4th floor, so most users don't go past the 3rd floor. Now that Ain is gone, Hyan must do some damage as support. Hyan uses his status points on Heavenly God Protection. Now that that skill is level 8, he is able to use Vision Sword. Hyan must get as much information as possible before going back in time. Ain is seeing everything, since even though he died, he became a ghost and can walk around. The 4th level is about to begin. Hyan asks Ain to watch his back in case a long-range attack is aimed at him. The abilities of these clones are very high compared to the previous one. The clones begin to attack. Hyan's clone uses a support skill called Sophisticated Magic, which increases an ally's attack range by 1 meter as well as increasing his attack, which means he will receive more damage if he tries to stay away, so he stays within attack range. And using the absorbed damage, he uses Vision Sword. The Vision Sword is a very strong attack, but the clone ended up using a second of immortality and reduced the damage. Not only that, the clones are playing as if they were a team. They attack without letting Hyan breathe. Hyan's clone has long-range abilities. Things are getting worse and worse, so Ain asks Hyan to go back in time, but Hyan says there is still something he wants to try. He uses a second of absorption and takes a lot of damage. However, as his health is below 20%, the effect of the Blood Fairy's cloak is activated. This makes him become much faster. He feints to attack Ain's clone but actually goes for his own clone first. He manages to hit it using Vision Sword. But it's not enough, and if that wasn't enough, his clone starts to use the ultimate. But this was what Hyan wanted, to find out all the abilities of the support, so with all the variables out, he mirrors the attacks of both clones simultaneously and leaves them weak, then uses a continuous attack and inflicts a lot of damage on them, finishing off Ain's clone. The Blood Fairy's effect expires, but things aren't over yet, because Hyan's clone's ultimate lasts for 5 minutes. Hyan is confident that he can do it alone from now on. He already knows all his skills and there is no one to interfere. That clone is nothing to him. So moments later he finishes him off and completes the 4th level, receiving even more temporary skill and status points. This causes him to unlock 2 skills, Soul Mirror and Vestige Blast. Hyan will go back in time, but first he'll look at what's next to find out how hard the 5th level will be. The last level begins, still clones, this time with extremely high skills and stats. Hyan came to think they were named monsters. He didn't expect such a great difficulty. He too had reached floor 5 in Asra, but he doesn't remember it being so difficult. The clones start attacking quickly. Hyan has very little room to react. At that rate he would end up dying, so he immediately goes back in time. As he goes back, he sees the memories of the awakening mission, until finally it ends and they are both alive again. They returned to the starting point. The difficulty of the 5th floor compared to the 4th floor was too high, so Hyan needs to think things over a bit before going back, so he takes a break. While resting, Hyan thought that the 5th floor of the awakening mission was difficult in Asra, but here it's even more so. However, he can't give up since his pride as a ranker in Asra is at stake there. At that moment, noticing that the wind was quite cold, he gets an idea, so he exits the rest mode and enters the game again. The awakening stage begins. They get through the floors easily as they don't have to worry about the floors they have already managed to get through, so until they complete the 4th floor and get some time to rest and distribute the points they received. The 5th floor begins. They have a plan prepared for it. The battle begins. Unlike the first time, they have the advantage. The damage of the Vision Sword is equivalent to what a second of absorption blocks. There is a limit to how much this ability can withstand per hit without Hyan taking damage. It is more efficient to absorb several attacks than a single strong one. To maximize the efficiency of Vision Sword, Hyan had Ain learn a wind-type skill and temporarily step out of the group to allow allied fire by absorbing several attacks. From Ain's wind magic, Hyan can use almost all the damage on his Vision Sword. After that skill became so strong that it can block a named monster's attacks and doesn't lose any balance thanks to Ain's skill called Wind Barrier. Before the Vision Sword's duration expires, Hyan will get as close as he can and cut the clone down so as to give him no chance to use abilities. Ain distracts her copy by running in circles and uses her wind attacks to prevent it from approaching, while Hyan takes care of the support. So while she is doing her job, Hyan must take care of her clone as fast as possible, but things get complicated because the clone uses its ultimate ability, Soul Mirror, an ability that allows it to become a copy of the target, as long as its level is not higher. So now they are fighting against 2 Ain. Both clones attack Hyan. It looks like it was going to end there, but Ain saves him and tells him to concentrate. Despite everything, Hyan starts to have fun, but they have to think about what they need to do to defeat both clones. It's been 10 minutes since they both entered the 5th stage. It's not getting any easier. Hyan's Fairy Blood Cloak effects activate. He will have it for 25 seconds. The opponent can fully defend with a second of absorption, and Hyan is barely able to dodge his attacks, and even if he manages to do so, a second attack will go to his blind spots. So far, he was able to hold on thanks to Ain's support, but that reached its limit. Moments later, one of the clones starts to gather the flames. It was his ultimate ability, Vestige Explosion, an ability that gathers the remains of the mana that was used on the spot and fires it. The more mana it gathers, the bigger the attack will be. It is an ability so powerful that it can destroy the game stage. To top it off, the other clone prepares another ultimate. Both use it at the same time, being an ability that scales with recent mana. If you add the mana from the first ultimate to the second one, how big will it become? They won't be able to defend themselves, so Hyan has no choice but to change the direction of the attack by any means possible, and he manages to do so. However, the stage collapses and the energy of the abyss begins to seep in. A mortal soul can't withstand the energy of the abyss. Thanks to this, one of the clones dies. Hyan doesn't want to use that strategy, but it's the only chance. Hyan admits that they are at their limit. All the strategies he prepared failed, so he approaches the clone and uses a second absorption and shield at the same time and tells Ain to push him, and so they finally pass the 5th level. Next, in the Asrian monitoring center they looked at how they had both been able to overcome the 5th stage. No one was supposed to be able to beat the 5th level, but they didn't consider the map breaking as a variable. This guy named Robert thinks the vision sword is too broken. However, this other guy replies that it has too many restrictions to say that it is. This one asks everyone to calm down, as Asrian is a complete game. There is only one person who has the authority to play Asrian, that's why they should just keep watching. Back in the game, they are unable to look at the other awakened skills. They had this option removed because the stage was broken, so the awakened skill is automatically selected for them. But they can't do anything anymore, so they will see the skills. The next day, Hyan attends a class meeting and everyone is talking about Asrian. Even though they are now college students, the fact that they only talk about games hasn't changed. Hyan has no need to join the conversation. However, Kim Yihoon sits at his desk to talk to him. Yihoon recently started playing Asrian and asks Hyan if he plays. 2. Hyan replies, but it's weird to him because he never talked to this guy in high school. Yihoon cuts to the chase and knows that the game Hyan used to play was Asra, so he offers Hyan to become a pro player. Yihoon is trying to go pro in that team, but he heard that they are looking for experienced Asra players online. That's why he asks Hyan for his help, because if a player like him applies, Stardust will accept him quickly. However, Hyan refuses and says he will think about it later. However, he shows him some gratitude for that offer. He tells him talks about a hidden mission. We leave for Levia. Hyan thought about the offer. Being a professional has its advantages, but he prefers to play without being tied to an organization. At least Yihoon seemed satisfied with the information about the hidden mission, so he thinks it would be nice to meet from time to time to talk about Asrian. But leaving that aside, Hyan needs to concentrate on testing the new ultimate before Ain comes, so he rents a dummy. He has to look like a human. He chooses this red jester dummy, which will disappear when he dies or when 3 hours pass. After that, he goes to the outskirts of the magic country in the habitat of the rock crab. Here he tests his new abilities using the dummy's body, since one of the abilities he received from the awakening was assimilation. This ability allows him to assimilate with a target that is less than 20 meters away. This gives him control over the target's body, besides increasing the main stat, so it works with any class. The other ability is Powerlessness Wave. This makes him surround himself with a wave of 2 meters away that reduces the defense of the opponents that touch it, taking into account his empathy level. When using these abilities, if there is not a boss of level 200 or 300, all his enemies will have their defense reduced to 0. Later, he meets up with Ain to go to Califer Mountain, where they encounter a level 150 ice golem. A while ago they wouldn't have been able to defeat it, but now they will in seconds. Hyan uses assimilation on Ain and takes his body, although it feels a bit different compared to the doll's body. Using the synergy of his abilities, he continuously hits the golem, doing a lot of critical damage. Such amount of damage can be achieved while being level 250 in Asra, but they are only level 50. The golem was no problem at all. After the golem fell, this bald guy shows up and wants to give Hyan and Ain a job to do. They activated a hidden mission. The old man is a bit suspicious, but will surely deliver the payment. They are warned that they won't be able to check the details of the mission before accepting it. After a while, they both accept the mission. It doesn't seem to be difficult. They only have to defend the entrance to those ruins. They don't have to stay there all day. From the moment the moon reaches its maximum, just for an hour, they will have to stop or kill anyone who tries to infiltrate the place. The guy tells them that no matter what, neither of them should enter the ruins. Asra had a similar mission. Someone told Hyan about it in a guild. Here Ain gets a bit jealous because she thinks the person who gave her the information was a girl. Day 1 completing. The mission begins. Ain does things in a flashy way. The first day they complete it with no problems and receive a couple of skill points as a reward. From there we go to day 2. They have guests, so they prepare to fight. This group had found a hidden mission that talked about a beam of light coming out of the mountain and were encouraged to investigate. However, Ain won't let them pass and takes out a couple of them. Next, he blocks magical attacks with his empty hands. This guy feels like he's seen Ain somewhere before, specifically on YouTube, because remember Tautar uploaded the video he recorded earlier. However, this guy thinks Ain is an NPC by the way he acts. Anyway, so ends the second day of the mission. Ain seems to be enjoying it quite a bit. Both are rewarded with a sky elixir that has a mysterious power that amplifies the user's potential if taken. However, it's a copy, so the effect is weak compared to the real thing. Getting one of those was difficult in Asra, but Hyan gives it to Ain, since technically she was the one who fought. Lately Ain seems to be in a really good mood. I think she's starting to fall in love with Hyan. Back to real life, Hyan meets Yihoon for dinner. While talking about the game, Yihoon tells Hyan that he got a hidden mission, which is basically to interfere with Hyan and Ain's mission. Even though it has very good rewards, Hyan tells him that he won't be able to complete it and to stay away from that mission. This because Hyun thinks it would be annoying to go against him. Back to Asrian, they continue with the mission. It seems like no one would go that day. Hyun thinks about the reasons he gave Yehoon to stop Yehoon and his game team from going on the mission. Ain wants more PvP, but the third day ends with no infiltrators. Hyun receives a unique sword as a reward. From here, many people start receiving the mission to investigate the suspicious light pillar, i.e., to interfere with Hyun and Ain's mission. The mission they receive is for more than one group, so it is likely that the best users will participate. The mission requirement is level 50. The third best guild in Korea, MIF, will participate in the mission, as well as foreign guilds, such as Darkness Guild, the strongest guild. They have in their team rank 2, 7, and 9 of the Hall of Fame. This was all as a global event. The fourth day of the mission starts for both of them. This time they have company. A lot of people arrive because the rumors spread. It's the last day of their mission, so they will give their best. Hyun uses assimilation in Ain. This event was broadcast live. One of the commentators was professional player Kim Soo-young from Stardust Guild, the same guild Yehoon entered. He managed to convince them not to participate, so they took a step back. The first guild to arrive is Myth. Their biggest source of damage is the Vice Master walking in front. They will try to complete the mission before darkness arrives. Myth's Vice Master walks towards Ain. He thinks she is also there for the same mission. But upon hearing this guy's identity, Ain unleashes her power and starts attacking, finishing off the Vice Master with one blow. There are 60 minutes left for Ain and Hyun's mission to end. The rest of the Myth Guild attacks Ain at the same time. Hyun will support her if the situation gets dangerous, but it won't be necessary as Ain is strong enough to take care of all of them. He dodges all their ranged attacks and finishes them all off. This guy at the end thought Ain was a monster mission leader. The third best guild in Korea went down just like that. Soo-young is now sure that the decision they made by not participating was the right one. One of the commentators also believes that Ain is an NPC and not a real player. Seeing what happened to Myth, Korea's top guild, H-Waring, decides to give up. But it's not over yet. There is still darkness. The global rank 1 guild, the guild master is this guy, XL. The video they recorded of Hyun and Ain against Leopard became very famous. Of those two people, one of them had a unique way to fight. We are talking about Ain. She set her hand on fire and caused damage by herself. On the internet, they are called the Dark Priests, but XL didn't expect one of the two to be the boss of that mission. According to XL, they have a 50% chance of winning, even though most of the main guild members came. Anyway, it's darkness turn now and there's 40 minutes left before Hyun and Ain's mission ends. Ain expects these to be stronger as he feels the other guilds were boring. Hyun tells him that this guild is different. They are more laid back. Korean guilds aren't usually like that. At which point he realizes that this is a world-ranked guild. Darkness starts to move. They give him all the upgrades to the Vanguard, specifically the Pia's World Rank 9. He immediately attacks Ain. Blindly he thinks he will have a chance, but his ability is cancelled because Ain is closing in on him quickly. Ain's agility is greater than Pia's despite all the upgrades he has. Hyun tells Ain that Pia's ability would have been cancelled even if he didn't get that close. It was dangerous since he's full of upgrades, but Ain does it that way because it's more fun. However, Hyun clarifies that if things get dangerous or there's a ranged attack, he'll react. Ain strikes back, leaving Pia's at a complete disadvantage. Seeing this, the rest of the guild begins to move. Hyun alerts Ain that there is magic coming from below. This gives an opening to Pia's, who tries to attack Ain's blind spot. However, Hyun intervenes and uses shield to protect her and leave Pia's weak, coupled with a second of absorption. This is the opportunity Ain needed to finish Pia's off. The rest of the guild starts to despair, but XL calms them down and tells him that it's not over yet. They are going to proceed with another plan. This time they are giving upgrades to the tank. Everything indicates that they are trying to prolong the battle. Ain takes the elixir to have enough mana. After this, she starts to feel like using her ultimate. The elixir made her health increase by 20,000 temporarily and her mana recovery increased tenfold. Both had agreed that they would not use Ain's ultimate, but she finds it more entertaining to use it there. Ain goes against the world number 7, Bear Shield, who thought Ain was tired after fighting Pia's, but he couldn't be more wrong. Even though he was a tank and received all kinds of upgrades, Ain killed him. In one hit, Ain activates her awakening ability called Prepared for Extinction, which makes her become the incarnation of a wolf. She will lose health while maintaining this state, and allied abilities can't heal her. However, all her abilities will do more damage. The narrators are stunned by Ain's power. They consider that the second phase of the boss has begun. The guild tries to hold their ground. XL acknowledges their miscalculations as they didn't expect anything like this. They don't see a way to beat Ain. This girl named Mayday, the second in the global ranking, prepares to use a technique, so she asks the rest to try to distract Ain. To block the ranged attacks, Hyan switches positions with her. The enemies try to target Ain's blind spots, but it doesn't work, as thanks to Hyan she was able to dodge all the attacks. Ain has made A in his sights and finishes her off. It's at that moment where XL admits defeat and asks Rihanna to make everyone retreat. They finally surrendered. There was no way they could beat them both. The mission is about to end. Hyan asks Ain for control, as this hidden mission he heard about in Asra has a separate clear condition and they are about to move to that condition. The bald guy thinks he will get away with it and his plan is complete, but Hyan controlling Ain attacks him, though he doesn't kill him as he managed to escape. But all the lights stopped. This made known what Hyan was looking for, a shard of the heavens. They are likely to be the first in Asrian to get one. When they take it, the power of the fragment of the heavens begins to enter their body. A message confirms that they were the first to obtain the title of celestial being, and to make things better, as there are two souls in one, they both receive the title. They both manage to become celestial beings in one attempt. This title permanently increases their resistance to cold and lightning. They are no longer able to feel cold. Next we see this former Asra player, Steel Rock. He was watching the broadcast and watching Ain fight. Although he doesn't know what kind she is, he feels he has seen her moves before. He immediately joins the dots and suspects she is Asra's Ain. Meanwhile, in the Darkness Guild, everyone came back discouraged. They thought they could win, but their mistake was being overconfident. However, they are notified that they completed the mission. Steel Rock shares his discovery with more people. There is no way he didn't recognize Ain. They remember all his moves. They played a lot of one-on-one, same with this other former player Berard. They didn't expect Ain to be a girl, but what worries them is that the users who played Asra are growing at an incredible rate. It doesn't only apply to Ain. He knows others, and there is also a possibility that there are Asra users they don't know. Although Ain started playing at the same time as these two, she is already much more powerful. At that time they wonder how strong Hyan would be right now, as they know he is playing. He also knows that Hyan and Ain always played together, so they can't imagine what would happen if the two team up in Asrian. When they find out. Yehun analyzes Ain's fight. According to Suyong, only an artificial intelligence could move like that, but Yehun notices something odd. The fact that Ain takes advantage of the opponent's thoughts as they approach her seems very human-like to him. He analyzes the fight because there is an apprentice evaluation coming up. Later, XL confirms to his clan members that they were not defeated by an NPC, they were defeated by a user. He realized this because when he came back, remember he received a notification that the mission was completed. At first they were happy, but after checking the system log, he noticed that the contribution rank was weird. Adding everything up, they didn't even reach 10% in theory only. The actions of the users are taken into account to determine the contribution rank. The NPC's due is not taken into account, so yes, thanks to this he knows that they faced a real person who had a different mission than them. He suspects that the difference in stats is due to an improvement on the part of the mission, but he couldn't be more wrong. What he is right about is that it is a hidden class. Hearing this, they want to try to get him to join the guild. They must do it quickly, as not everyone knows that Ain is a user and not an NPC. Getting him to join will become their top priority. While Hyan was having dinner, he saw how the whole internet was full of threads about Ain. Everyone thinks his class is a dark priest. Better for Hyan, as he prefers not to be the center of attention. Next, he is notified about Asrian's first update. They will add a dueling arena in each city, all connected through the network, so he will be able to see and fight against people from other countries. Ain will be very excited. Asrian's main story is about to start, so Hyan will be busy after the patch. When he enters the game, he gets a message from Ain, who tells him that he won't be able to enter for a couple of days. Without his biggest source of damage, Hyan can't go hunting in high-level areas. Ain not going to be around for 2 days is for the best, as things will get more complicated after the patch. Upon reaching level 50, Hyan unlocked a new mission. Now that he has time, he should do it, so he heads to the Temple of the Sunset. He wasn't sure if there is such a place in Asra, but he has no choice but to go since his mission is there. He planned to finish it quickly, but the further he goes in, the weirder the place seems to him. Further on, he meets a priestess. Hyan enters the temple. There he feels a strange atmosphere. Moreover, he talks to the priestess as his clothes are different from the others. She tells him that she modified them. Hyan still thinks something is wrong. A notification window tells him to wait for Hyan to find himself in that meeting. The priestess tells him that she will inspect his weapon, so he starts to do it. The priestess's name is Rusha. After inspecting Hyan's soul, she promises that she will not reveal this information to other people. She is surprised, as she has never seen Hyan's kind before, and starts to laugh. She then wants to explain to Hyan what empathy is. It is not just a special statistic. For the supports, it is something more than that. To understand empathy, they must go back to the Transcendence. These are beings that live on a higher plane than humans, known as angels or demons. Empathy is closely related to them. Transcendents receive empathy from mortal players to grant blessings or prophecies that affect that world. It is this reason why priests learn to pray and send their empathy. So Rusha wants to teach Hyan to pray, however, the mission warns him that it might be a waste of time. However, Hyan accepts. Rusha explains to him that angels grant blessings or prophecies to the player, and the prayers of those with great empathy can reach the transcendentals easily. However, empathy is something that most have fixed at birth. Even priests have to go through grueling trials to raise it. Rusha tells him the story of the priest lost in prayer. This priest did nothing but pray until one day he accidentally fell asleep while doing so and said he was transported to a strange place. While telling this, Rusha used her magic on Hyan and makes him visit the place of the story he told. Hyan appears in a temple. Outside, the sky is red and the sun is black. Rusha told him that the priest in the story he told had a little secret. The priest's secret was that he served a demon instead of an angel. He started to empathize with the demon while praying, and his consciousness ended up in that world which is closer to the demons. In fact, the place where they are is a realm closer to hell than heaven. There, the prayers reach the demons. It is a contrasting world. Hyan asks Rusha if he can return to the real world if he wishes. She says yes, and they immediately return. This motivates Hyan, as he now knows the way to an unexplored realm. Hyan begins to pray, but it is difficult. He needs to maintain a state on the verge of falling asleep. Hyan wants to know Rusha's true identity, but she tells him that she is just a normal priestess. Hyan is surprised by this new hidden world. His skill mastery reaches 100% and praying goes up to level 1. Hyan has trouble breathing while his praying level keeps increasing. He starts to slowly lose his consciousness. He starts to empathize with a nearby transcendentalist. Hyan appears in the empty temple at midnight. Hyan started walking without a clear purpose. He came to be in front of this room, and when he enters, he finds this girl tied up. Her eyes are unfocused. She looks conscious, but at the same time out of it. She doesn't know why they have her tied up there, let alone why she entered a place like that. Suddenly, priests come to the room, so Hyan hides. These priests use a mental ability on the girl. They even have her on a magic circle. Even if it's a game, Hyan is bothered by this. The moment the priests leave, Hyan goes to the girl and tries to wake her up. He manages to wake her up by giving her an elixir until he finally frees her, but she is hungry, so he gives her something to eat. The girl has a strange necklace. Then she gets nervous and says that they will never take it off. The girl's name is Louise. This name Hyan never heard in a SRA. After a moment, he has a main mission to save Louise, so he decides to help her out, as the way she talks is unusual and the situation she is in even more so. Even if it wasn't a mission, he wants to help her. As he leaves the temple, he tries to run away but notices someone else, then tells Louise to run. She agrees, as she can use wind magic, so she can move relatively quickly. They both start running and Hyan is surprised by their speed. However, there is trouble. They have been running for 10 minutes and still not away from the temple, so they stop. They are stuck on a sort of endless road. Suddenly, a light flashes from the temple. Moments later, Hyan closes his eyes, and when he opens them, he finds a forest in front of him, so they have a way to run. Hyan thinks someone help them. He doesn't know exactly what's going on, but seeing how things are going, the best thing to do is to keep running. And that's how the first part of this manhwa ends. Well guys, if you like this video and you want a second part, comment below with the word part 2. Also subscribe to the channel, hit the bell and like the video. But most important, leave a comment. Until the next video.